You are listening to the SDSU Podcast presented by the East Village Times with your hosts Andre Hagberdian and Paul Garrison. Welcome, listeners, back to the SDSU Podcast. This is Andre Hagberdian, your host. We'll be joined by Paul Garrison shortly, my co-host. We're shifting gears a little bit in this episode away from football, away from basketball, to baseball. The baseball season starts in about 2 weeks on February 16th when San Diego State hosts Portland at Tony Gwynn Stadium. So for today's episode, we actually had a chance to interview 4 upperclassmen that are on the San Diego State baseball team, 2 position players and 2 pitchers, get a feel for how their offseason has gone, their preseason has gone, and what they look for doing in this upcoming season. The 4 players are junior outfielder Irvin Weems, who's from Las Vegas, Nevada, and went to Durango High School, and was a 2022 Mountain West Co-Freshman of the Year. Junior outfielder Shaun Montoya from Rancho Cucamonga, California, and Damien High School. Shaun was a 2023 second-team All-Mountain West selection last year. Junior right-handed pitcher Omar Serrano from Downey, California, and Downey High School. And senior right-handed pitcher Jonny Guzman from Orange, California, and Orange Lutheran High School. If you're watching this episode on YouTube, you'll be able to see all 4 answering questions, so you'll know who's answering them. A little bit harder if you're listening to this on audio. For the most part, questions that were asked of all 4 at the same time were answered in the order of Irv Weems, Shaun Montoya, Omar Serrano, and Jonny Guzman. After, I think, a couple answers, you'll probably pick up their voice, their distinct voices, and we'll know throughout the episode who's given the answers. But as I said, the video interview can be found on our YouTube channel, the SDSU Podcast. If you want to watch the interview and see the players as they're answering the questions, definitely I would recommend that. Otherwise, the audio should be just fine. Let's get to it. We interviewed all 4 at the same time, right after practice. And then afterwards, Paul and I will come back with some of our takeaways from the interview to close it out. We want to welcome 4 players from the San Diego State baseball team to the podcast. We have outfielders Irvin Weems and Shaun Montoya. And we have pitchers Omar Serrano and Jonny Guzman. What's going on, fellas?
What's going on?
Thank you guys for taking the time.
Love it, guys. Always, anytime.
I know you guys just got off the practice field. So we're eager to talk to you guys about the upcoming season. You know, setting up this interview, Coach personally selected the 4 of you to take part in this interview, which shows a sign of leadership role and the trust that he has for the 4 of you. You know, how has the first off season under his staff gone for all of you? Start with Irvin.
For me, I would say it's gone pretty smooth. I learned a lot under Coach Cole and Tony Tarasco and Julius. Julius with the hitting side, Tony with the outfielders, and Shaun on the more so leader side of the park since he's a pitching coach. But for me, I think I've learned a lot this past fall, and I'm excited to get the season started.
Yeah, so my side with that is Coach Cole's bringing a lot of guys for our leadership and like mental aspect of the game, which I think is pretty cool, like really cool actually. But besides that, with the coaching staff, I think Tarasco and J-Mac have done a very good job of like teaching the younger guys, just keeping it short, simple, doing stuff I was told, and we'll be rewarded.
I feel like, I guess for like me and Johnny, it's a little different just because he was our pitching coach the last 2 years. Mm-hmm. But I mean, somewhat the same. We didn't really shy away from what we were doing before. It is kind of weird to see him as a head coach now, but I enjoy it just to see him interact with the hitters as well. And I heard they like it too.
Yeah, kind of segueing off what Omar said, you know, me and Omar and the rest of the pitching staff's been working with Coach Cole for a while now. So seeing him kind of transition into that head coach role He still treats us the same. He treats everyone the same. So it's nice to see that there's not a huge shift in personality moving from pitching coach to head coach. But overall, as a head coach, I think it's been great. Definitely been different this year as opposed to the last few years. One of the highlights I would say is, again, kind of piggybacking off Irv, things have been pretty smooth and efficient, I would say, for most part.
Yeah, we had a chance to talk to the new staff kind of in this format in a Zoom, a 6-way Zoom. Seems like a skilled group with a lot of chemistry. What has been their message this offseason?
Mainly just trying to be leaders with the older guys and trying to be as effective and efficient as possible, making sure that each practice we have is down to the detail and not wasting any extra time going through any other distractions or bumps in the road. We just want to be as polished as possible and mold the older guys into leaders and show the younger guys the do's and don'ts of how to be a professional or a D1 baseball player.
For me personally with that, I think Coach Cole has done a great job teaching me and Irv how to be a leader and how to show these younger guys the ropes of what a winning team would look like. And I think they've done a very good job of that.
I mean, it's been good. I mean, I don't have much to say. I mean, I've been working on it for 2 years, so I'm used to it.
Yeah, I guess one cool thing is, one of the mottos that we've had this year that Coach Cole and others have kind of helped develop is that we're men and we all have backbones. And basically what that means is, we're all men. We're going to be good people on and off the field. We're going to be respectful. We're going to be efficient, like I mentioned earlier. And that's kind of what we're going to use going into our season this year is our motto is we all have backbones.
So Omar, last season, man, you had a lot of promising numbers, man. You struck out 62 batters, 53 innings, respectable 1.2 WHIP. Opponents only batted 237 against you. But those positives didn't necessarily lead to like the end desired result I think that you were looking for. And potentially it's because a lot of those hits wins for extra base hits. As you enter your upperclassmen, time at San Diego State, man, what has been your focus on the offseason to being able to kind of put the whole package together this year?
I mean, for the most part, I talked to Coach Cole a lot about, I guess, being efficient. I mean, have efficient innings. I mean, I throw all my pitches with confidence. And then, I mean, the extra base hits, I mean, they come. I mean, it's baseball. But in terms of this year coming up, I mean, I'm building off of last year. I mean, I had good numbers. I started a lot of games.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, I get a lot of opportunities this year to go out there and give us a chance to win and then hopefully lead us into the playoffs.
Absolutely. And Jonny, last year, you started the season as a starter at the beginning before transitioning to the bullpen. 2 of your 5 starts, you didn't give up a run, the first 2. And then 5 of your 7 relief appearances, you didn't give up any runs. Has the staff told you, what are you building up for in your role this year?
Yeah, so I've had a couple conversations with Coach Cole about it. Obviously, starting the season as a starter last year, I was there to do my role, and unfortunately, there was some bumps in the road there early on in the season as a starter, and being pushed back into the back end. I said, wherever I pitch, it doesn't matter. I'm going to do my job, whether that be in the back end, closing, starting, no matter what it be. My goal is to just give my team a chance to win, and just have conviction with every single pitch, every single inning I'm out there. So I had a long, pretty successful season as a junior, as a back end guy. So not really certain how things are going to play off right now, but I have been pitching in the back end here for our inter squads in the fall. So again, though, like I said, I'm geared up, put the ball in my hand, no matter where it be. I'm just, I'm going to do my best, give my team a chance to win.
Something, Jonny, that I thought was pretty, I've been wanting to ask you about it since it happened. Obviously that last start against Air Force, 5 runs, you don't record an out. And then there's that 2-week lull where you don't go and see the mound. And I think a lot of people, man, could not have handled that, but you not only handle it, but then you went on to excel. What was your mindset during that period, and how were you able to show the resilience to be able to do everything that you just said and help your team win?
Right. So it was definitely heartbreaking in the moment at the time. And that's, something I would never wish upon my worst enemy, going through something like that. But at the end of the day, it really just comes down to mental toughness, wanting to succeed. I think a lot of it is wanting my team to succeed. So I want to put myself in a position where I can help my team. So basically the idea for me is you can't become selfish in that scenario. At the end of the day, it's about the team. So for me, if I sat there and pouted about it, that'd be very selfish of me. So the idea there is get back to help the team.
A lot of selfish people, man. Tip my hat to you. That's not an easy thing that you did, brother.
Shaun, you had a nice freshman season, but made a huge leap last year. I think your extra base hits jumped from 4 in 2022 to 23 in 23. What do you attribute that change to, and how do you build off your All Mountain West second team selection from last year?
Definitely something that I have done was definitely take weights serious. Other than that, I think Maxwell Foxcroft and J-Mac and hitting side have just been very good to me about stick to your approach, know who you are, and we're going to build from there. There's always room for improvement. Yeah.
You said you took the weight seriously. What was your increase in actual weight, or was it just feeling stronger that helped you?
So last winter I jumped 10 to 12 pounds, and that's what kind of gave me that boost, confidence. I have more confidence in the box. That I was like, okay, nothing's going to get past me. I'm going to make the pitcher pay. And that was my mindset throughout the whole year. But yeah.
Irv, you were the Mountain West co-freshman of the year in 22. So you came in last year with high expectations. You had a shoulder injury that, kind of limited your at-bats. I think you had less than 100 at-bats last year. Can you give us an update on your health and what your focus has been this offseason?
So far, no, my arm's pretty much 100%. My body feels good. Health-wise, it's pretty much ready to go for season. And I'm really just going to focus on my arm strength and making sure that's getting back to where it needs to be, and focus on the hitting side aspect, because I know I'm probably going to be a pretty big impact in the lineup this year. And I feel like with my bat, I need to get done what I need to get done in order to perform during the season in those big moments as well, so that we can win a lot of ball games.
Irvin, Shaun, a challenge for the Aztecs the last couple of years has been scoring runs, and obviously the change in the bringing in J-Mac, everything like that. But you guys are losing, the heart of your order, with Carrick, Ruiz, Fontaine, from a year ago. What are some of the keys to having the offense excel this year? I'm going to go over this team.
What was that last part?
Just what are the keys for the offense to succeed?
I think this year is just being more aggressive at the plate, not missing the fastballs. That's been our biggest model this year, is doing less and taking your singles and building off that, not trying to do too much with the fastball and really don't miss the fastballs. I think last year we missed a lot of fastballs, found the black off, or not putting balls in play, not having competitive at bats. But I think this year it's going to be a lot different on the offensive side.
That's what I was going to say, pretty much, yeah.
Perfect. So then what has Coach McDougal brought in as a hitting coach, and what would you say for each of you individually, how has he influenced you and your development, and also just in general, what is his hitting philosophy?
So for him, our philosophy is stay up the middle. Just keep things simple, and like Herb said, just take your singles. No one's going to beat you down at the end of the day if you're just hitting singles. That's what wins you ball games. And for me, especially, if I lead off bat 9-2, whatever that is, I need to get on base for Herb to score me, or 3-4 hitters to score me. And that's what I take pride in. I want to get on base with these guys that have these big RBI seasons.
And for me, I would say just being more aggressive. Coach J-Mac kind of emphasizes being more aggressive for running and scoring position, especially in the zone, so that if he hangs that cookie, we're able to bang it. If you see it up, like Shaun said, take your singles up the middle and just stay simple as you can be.
Well, the two of you are both aggressive on the base paths already, but coaching staff told us that being aggressive, taking the extra base, doing those things is a benchmark for them. How excited with what your games already were that they're going to bring that kind of philosophy and that kind of approach and give you guys kind of even more of a green light than you had before?
It makes it a lot more fun, I would say. Give us more freedom out on the base pass. Let us use our speed and showcase our speed, help our team win and get our guys in scoring position, like Shaun was saying. Steal a base, get on second, now you're in scoring position for the next hitter. But just, yeah, like I said, it makes it more fun, more entertaining. I know people like to see guys stealing bases, and we like to steal bases, so it just makes it more fun all around.
Yeah, just having Tarasco here just has elevated my base running game so much. And I'm very thankful for that because the stuff he's taught me is just like nobody has ever taught me that before.
Yeah.
And I would try to steal bases as much as I can, but him giving me this, like clearance of mind, like how to steal a base, like it makes it easier. It slows the game down even more.
It allows us to use our speed to our advantage as well, too. Really knowing how to steal a bag, like Shaun was saying.
Jonny and Omar, the first time we had Coach Cole on the podcast, he told us about the young phenom Xavier Cardenas. I think he mentioned that he's got top 5 draft pick potential. What is he like as a teammate, and where do you think he can fit in with the squad this year?
He's a really good teammate. He's not a selfish guy. He likes to let people know when they're doing things wrong, let people know when they're doing things good. And then performance-wise, I mean, he's been outstanding. He's getting outs, being efficient, getting strike one. And I wouldn't be surprised if he's a weekend guy for us this year.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I love X. We've gotten a chance to get a little bit closer just this past offseason, and just seeing his work ethic, honestly, behind the scenes is honestly something really cool to watch. Just the way how seriously he takes his dry reps and how he takes care of his body off the field. Me and him have lots of conversations about diet and ways we can keep ourselves healthy away from the baseball field. So seeing the dedication he has to make himself a great athlete, a great pitcher at that is really cool to watch. And again, this year I'm looking forward to see what he has, in store for us. I think he's going to be helping us a lot on the mound for sure. When he first came in early, he had some spot starts, and I definitely think that's where his potential is on the mound. And I'm excited to see where this takes him and how he can help us this year.
Nearly every category across the board, the pitching staff improved from 2022 to 23. Especially playing in the Mountain West pitching at elevation. Some of the staff's rankings were pretty impressive. 36th in hits per 9 innings, 48th in WHIP, 56th in ERA. What should the expectations be for the pitching staff this year?
I mean, nothing less. I mean, we're trying to beat our numbers from last year, like how we did the year before. Coach Cole really emphasizes that we're going to be the best pitching staff in the Mountain West, and I mean, no one shies away from it. Everyone believes that, and it's good that everyone believes it because if we all believe it, then we can achieve it. And I mean, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, just in the couple of years he's been here, we've set the foundation that we're the best pitching staff in the Mountain West, and that's definitely not going to go anywhere. That's the expectation. Our goals realistically is to put ourselves on a national level. We want to be a nationally recognized pitching staff. We want to pitch with the best of them. And Coach Cole always tells us, it's on the back of the pitching staff to really take us into postseason and forward. The offense is going to give us the runs. It's our job to win us those ball games.
Question for everybody. Could you guys just tell us like what, if any, leagues you guys played in this summer and how that experience went?
So I was in the Cape for about a month, like the first half of summer, and then I guess wasn't getting as much playing time as I like getting at bats, but I learned a lot from the older guys, all the draft guys I was there. So I definitely wouldn't say it was a waste of time. I definitely used it to my advantage to learn as much as I could during that experience. Then I went over to the Appalachian League for like the second half of summer for about 2 or 3 weeks, and then I used what I learned in the Cape to help me perform out while I was out in the Appalachian League, and performed pretty well from the things that I learned and stuff I talked about with the older guys. So I definitely would say the Cape helped that a lot. And the Appalachian League I was there my freshman year too, so I went back there and it was a pretty good experience the second time around too. So yeah.
Yeah, for me, went in the back half of summer. Just kind of focus on the first half to get stronger, bigger. That's always what I'm working on. But yeah, I went to the Northwoods League, played for the lacrosse loggers. Great experience. Just always getting playing time, always gets a good experience for the game. And but yeah, very good coaches there. Just actually learned a lot.
For me, I guess Coach Cole had a different plan for me. He had me stay back in San Diego. I played in the San Diego League. And I mean, his main emphasis was to just stay here and get stronger, get faster. Going into this, my first upperclassman year. And that's the main thing I really worked on, just learning how my body moves, how to move it efficiently, and then along with putting on weight and mass.
Yeah, similar to Omar, I stayed in San Diego, but I actually didn't end up playing any summer ball. This being my 5th year of college baseball, and what I mentioned before with last year having a lot of bumps in the road, I had a lot to figure out this summer. So I mostly stayed back, worked on mechanical stuff locally, again, getting bigger, stronger, faster. Mostly the goal here over the summer was to stay healthy and have that longevity through my 5th year season here. And again, mostly just throwing bullpens locally.
No, that's great. And I think for everybody who's listening, obviously Portland is coming to town February 16th, start the season. I'm sure you guys are chomping at the bit to be able to do that. But it's always impressive to me how much of, after whatever you guys do in the summer, you guys get back onto campus and you have all of this time before the start of your season. And I think it's hard for people who don't know that. So could you guys just describe, everything that you guys go through to be able to get ready for what's coming up February 16th?
I feel like Coach Cole does a really good job of laying it out for us. I mean, every day he sends out the schedule. I mean, what we're going to do in detail. And then he can't stress it enough. I mean, everything we're going to do is going to be efficient and clean and polished up, I guess. I mean, we go every day with a plan, every month with a plan. And by the end of it, I mean, everyone's doing what they got to do just to be ready for February.
Yeah, from the pitching side of things, everyone is on a similar, build-up plan, and then we tend to, deload in the winter and then ramp back up right around this time period, right before season. That can differ depending on if someone's on a different plan, and say if they're coming back from an injury or whatnot. But I would say things get pretty loaded heavy in the fall, and then we deload in the winter, which is not to say we're not working, because being a college player for this long, I can say the most important time of the year might be the winter, especially when we're talking about preseason. We're all on our own. The coaches can, send us, texts or emails, whatever, and give us guidelines on what to do. But at the end of the day, it's really up to us in the winter. So we load up heavy in the fall. We're on our own in the winter, which, like I said, is very important. And now we're building back up, getting ready for season, getting ready for Portland.
Yeah, no, I feel like since we stepped on campus with our first team meeting, it's been like, these are our goals. Like, we want to play in playoffs. That's one of our biggest team goals, and I think we definitely have the team to achieve that.
Yeah, building off what Shaun said, I feel like we're a lot more goal oriented this time around with Coach Cole, basically forcing it upon us to be more goal oriented and try to find different ways to come together as a team with deeper chemistry and being closer together to be more vulnerable while we're on the field too. So it's pretty good.
Yeah, I was curious if you guys can talk a little bit about how you ended up at San Diego State. I don't believe either of you are from San Diego. I know there's some Orange County guys, Las Vegas guy, but how did you end up at San Diego State? And why?
So I committed here my freshman year, and Coach Joe Olivero, he was the one that recruited me. He's not here anymore. Took me on a visit after my freshman season, and I just kind of fell in love. I fell in love with it as soon as I stepped on campus. It felt like home. I like the red and black. I know Tony Gwynn was here. He was a big part of me growing up. For me, I watched him a lot as a kid, and just the program had good history behind it. So I figured, why not? It's in San Diego, good place to be, good people to be around, good weather, and it's a good organization to be a part of too. So,
yeah, for me, I was a freshman at UC Irvine, and I left there, and then I went transfer portal, and I got picked up by Sam Peraza, and I went on my visit here, and fell in love with it. I mean, Tony Gwynn went here, like, what more can you ask for? The hitting legend. So, I mean, it just felt right. I feel like family home.
Yes, for me, I mean, I grew up in Orange County. I went to Orange Lutheran High School. I've always just loved SoCal. It's where I've always wanted to be. It's where I want to be when I'm older, if I can. And I ended up getting an offer my sophomore year of high school. And the second I came down here, I mean, I knew it was where I wanted to be. I mean, first off, the ability to play baseball all 4 seasons of the year is awesome. You know, a lot of schools that we're playing this year can't even say that. So the ability to play baseball 4 seasons of the year is great. And it's just far enough from home, but also close enough from home. So for me, it was just the right fit. It was the perfect vibe for me. Is where I wanted to be.
I feel like me, it was a little different than everyone else. I was a late recruit. I actually committed after my senior year of high school. I kind of was, I mean, in high school, I did pretty good in our playoff run. And then I got scouted out, and then I came down for a visit. And I mean, I loved it. So kind of ran with it, and I'm happy I did.
Last set of questions. These are a little bit of fun, non-baseball related questions, just to get the listeners to get to know you guys a little bit better. We'll go in the order that we've been going: Irv, Shaun, Omar, Jonny. But I'll give you the question, and you guys can just give an answer. What's your favorite food?
I got 2. So I'll say
Okay.
steak or pizza. That's mine.
Definitely, I'm gonna go steak.
I'll go pizza or ceviche.
There you go. The Cameron. Okay.
I hate to copy the first 2, but I gotta go ribeye. I mean, but no, it's me and him live together, man. We're carnivore.
Yeah.
Red meat.
Oh yeah.
How do we like our steaks?
Rare.
No, medium well.
What?
Irv likes it chewy.
Yeah.
What about favorite movie or TV show?
Favorite movie? Creed 2. And TV show? Rick and Morty.
Movie. I'm gonna come back to that one. But my favorite TV show would probably be like Nick Cannon Wild Now.
Oh yeah.
Don't watch that.
I do.
Oh my God. All right. I'll say favorite TV show, Money Heist on Netflix. And then I'll say movie. I'm a big fan of the Iron Man series.
Yeah, I'm a space
Those.
like Interstellar. That's for sure one movie for me. And then TV show, I was pretty late to the party, but I just finished Game of Thrones. That was a good show.
I want to go back to Money Heist. Have you seen? There's a spinoff called Berlin that just came out. Have you seen that yet?
I just saw that. I haven't had a chance to look at it. But definitely, I mean, once we hit the road on the plane, I'll definitely get to watching it.
All right. Favorite musical artist or group?
Favorite artist? Michael Jackson.
There you go.
Right now, favorite artist probably Zach Bryan.
For me, favorite artist, damn, I'll probably say Drake.
Yeah.
I got Eminem. I got Green Day, and I got Rufus.
Oh, Rufus is good.
Rufus.
Okay.
Oh, and shout out Boo Bugs Clan.
You don't listen to me.
All right. Favorite. This is kind of sports related. You can go baseball here, or you can go any sport. But favorite professional athlete.
Ron James.
Okay.
Bad choice. I'm gonna go with Dustin Pedroia.
Wow.
Okay.
Oh, I was
Okay.
not expecting that.
No.
I'll say Kobe Bryant.
There you go.
My favorite player of all time was Mariano.
Rivera.
Yep.
Great choice.
Very good choice.
What about favorite hobby? What do you guys like to do when you're not practicing or playing baseball?
Play basketball, hoop a little bit. Omar can't guard me, by the way.
Favorite
Is this
hobby?
true, Omar?
No, 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 no,
You gotta get somebody out there with a video, man.
no. Yeah, I
Good
was
video.
already I'm gonna send you the video. I'll send you the video.
For me, favorite hobby definitely in the off season would be picked up golf.
Okay.
We've been playing a lot of cards in our house. Me, Irv, and Chris Canada and Evan Sipe. We've been playing cards a lot, like almost too much. We be getting in each other's we be getting at each other, so it's getting a little intense.
Let's see. If I'm not playing baseball, I'm either cooking red meat, playing golf, or I'm reading Fortnite.
Like it. I have a question for y'all. Coach Cole told us when one of the things that he was going to do differently is he was going to make sure that the everything was organized, right? Everyone picks up after themselves, all that stuff. Which teammate had the hardest time with that transition?
Tino Bethencourt.
No. Xavier Gonzalez. He's
Yeah, that's my guy, Xavier Gonzalez.
sorry,
Stand
not
by
sorry.
Tino.
All right.
Tino's locker may look nice on the outside, but if you open up the little cubby, mess.
Last one. What are you guys? What's your major at San Diego State? What are you going to get a degree in?
Communications.
Yep, same here, communications.
I'm a social science major.
There you go.
I'm doing kinesiology.
Nice.
Very good.
Guys, thank you so much. This was awesome. I know our listeners will enjoy it. You guys are getting ready for a season. Best of luck to you guys, and hopefully we'll see you out there for some games that Paul and I can make it out to.
Awesome.
Thank you.
guys
Thanks for having us.
Good.
Night, guys.
Thank you.
Good night.
Well,
All right, that was getting to know four of the top players for San Diego State baseball. You know, as we said in the beginning, Coach Cole, you know, handpicked those guys as guys that he wanted us to chat with and for them to give their, you know, perspectives on how this season plans on going. What was your overall impressions of chatting with them?
It was good. I mean, as you said, those were who they suggested, but they were also high on my list. If that makes any sense. We definitely wanted to make sure that we had time with those guys. But I thought it was good. I think that it seems like, you know, at the beginning of a season, right, there's always that optimism and all of those kinds of things. But I also, you know, felt like you could see the confidence that guys who have performed at that level and had success at that level, you know, I think that was very evident. I think overall, you know, with it's interesting. Baseball itself, right, is always a grind. I mean, that's just what it is. The games are long, but just the lead up that they described from the, you know, the summer leagues that they were playing at, or, you know, working on stuff locally, to getting back on campus, having a bunch of, you know, really intense kind of, you know, going through kind of the full ramp up. And then, you know, you get that winter stuff to kind of build up your conditioning, weightlifting, etc. And then it's like the year turns and like the season's not until February, you know what I mean? And so
Yeah.
I think you could definitely see like all of that work that they put through. I thought they communicated that well, and how, you know, February 16th can't come soon enough.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting to hearing from the pitcher's perspective that, like, Shaun Cole was their pitching coach for the last 2 years. So, like, to them, he's not a new coach, right? To them, he's just their pitching coach. He just happens to have a higher role as well along the overall team. But I think those guys are confident. They expect to do better than they did last year, which was better than the year before. But I think, obviously, as we've talked about, that the offense really struggled, didn't score runs. And, you know, Irv and Shaun are two of the guys that are going to hopefully lead that turnaround with Coach McDougal. And then also running the base paths, right? Tony Tarasco's influence there. If your offense, if you're not scoring, if you're not hitting home runs, manufacturing runs, stealing runs in a sense, as people call it, where you take an extra base when the average person wouldn't, and you get moved around and knocked around, not even necessarily by a bunt, but like a fly ball or a ground ball to the right side, things like that can bring you home where you kind of manufacture. I think those are things I need to do, and those two guys are going to be critical in that role. But it's cool to get to know these guys because we don't see them on TV, right? Like basketball guys, we see on TV all the time. Football guys, even though they're wearing helmets, we still see them, we hear their names. But with the baseball team, we don't really get to know them on a personal level or hear them talk because that national or even local attention isn't there. So I think that was really cool to get to know these four guys that I had never talked to before today, didn't know much about, and researching them before the interview, talking to them, I think was really cool. Definitely guys to keep an eye on when the season starts.
Yeah, without question. I think one thing that I enjoyed hearing and I thought was interesting is, having done this now and covered the baseball team since 2020. And it's always the preview that we kind of hit the strongest with that. And so I've heard the messages as they've gone through the years. And 2 years ago, had one of the worst seasons that San Diego State has ever had, one really just like uncharacteristic. And the message then was like, we're hitting a ton of base hits, but we're not able to put any extra base hits together. And then last year, they got more extra base hits, but they didn't keep the same number of singles as well. And it didn't lead to some of the, what they were hoping for. And so it was interesting to hear them talk about that. They want to stay up the middle. They don't want to do too much. At the end of the day, no one's going to be upset if you're hitting singles. And it seems to be a little bit of a course correction because I do think, in talking with Coach Martinez before he retired, and asking him to review the season, if you remember that conversation on that podcast, he talked about, the guys in the middle of the order didn't have the big all-conference seasons that we needed them to have in order to score a lot of runs. Another way of saying that is maybe they were trying to do too much, right? And that they're trying to, again, stay up the middle, keep it simple, make sure you hit fastballs and you hit them really well. I think is a good approach. And, especially when they're playing in San Diego with the pitching staff that they have, if they're able to move runners over, hit the ball the right side of the infield, steal bases, sack fly, whatever it is to be able to manufacture those runs, and then run into a few and be able to score some runs and piece those things together, man. I do think that the offense can be better, even though most seasons, if you're losing 3 draftees or 3 guys who are now playing professional baseball, especially one who was picked as high as Colt Carrig, you would always be looking and be going, oh man, how do you replace that? How do you replace that? But they didn't really find the success even with like a star on their team. And so I think that even though, you may not be thinking that there is this like bona fide guy who's, every scout is out there watching for this year's draft. And maybe there is, and I'm blanking on who that is, but they could be aggregately better offensively. And if their pitching can approach anything like it's been the last few years, I think the team can be a lot more successful. And Coach Cole's first year on the Mesa could, go in the right direction.
Yeah, and going back to that conversation with Coach Martinez, like they won the they were co-regular season conference champions because they won 18-11 in the conference.
Right.
They were 6-18 in non-conference.
Mm-hmm.
And just start of the season, they get swept by Arizona State, a Pac-12 school, right? And so that's how they have to. And if you have a good pitching staff, you can pitch well anywhere, right? As they've shown. But if you can hit and you can combine that, you can go into Arizona State and win games. You can go into tough environments and win. And that's why it's really going to be crucial that their offense they don't have to become, this powerhouse offensive team because their pitching staff is good enough to win games. I think they just have to be average offensive team, potentially, maybe a little bit above average to be a team that could be contending to win the conference, get to the College World Series and see what they do. But yeah, that non-conference record was just brutal. That needs to change this year.
Yeah, and one thing I think we need to make sure that we ask Coach Cole when we talk to him, which will be in a future episode before the season comes out for everybody who's listening. They both Irvin and Shaun both talked about freedom, the opportunity to more be who they are as players. And I think that as a coach, that's a pretty high compliment that they got that from what the training was. And so I'm really curious to know, how do you communicate that? How do you give these kids freedom? How do you allow them to be the kind of players that they want to be and be kind of like in charge of their own development? So I thought that was really significant. And then it's interesting because these interviews are always challenging. Like, as you said, we don't talk to these guys often. And so you don't know exactly, and then the first time you meet somebody, you don't exactly want to grill them with a super hard question. And I thought that Jonny Guzman was I thought he killed the interview. I thought he was so good and articulate that I threw in, just for everybody on our preparation, I didn't have that question. I had the question in my mind about Air Force and how do you transition and not pitch for a couple of weeks, and I didn't know if he was going to say there was an injury or, what was it that he didn't have that, but just to be not only forthcoming, but then to really get into that process about, it's about the team and it's about winning and I can't be selfish and all of those kinds of things. Like, that's how you build a good team, is making sure that voice is heard in the locker room, because that is really the only way collectively that they're going to be able to be better. And so I was just really impressed with that answer, and and the ability to do it. I mean, he was if you look at his numbers from last year, Guzman was so hit or miss. It was like no runs or a whole bunch of runs. And not very many in between. A couple, average ones, but lots and lots of goose eggs that he put up. And I think that, with Kalena Sauer not here anymore, obviously in a minor league camp, there is a spot at closer. I think, Guzman could fit there. But then you start getting into, again, it's the depth, right? Chris Canada could be a starter. It was a starter last year, 2-year starter. Would expect him to be in that mix there. Xavier Cardenas, Omar Serrano, Jonny Guzman, right? And often, obviously they only need 3, but with the Tuesdays coming up and those off pitches and those off games, but then also being able to whether it's injury or whatever it is, they seem to have a lot of depth, and so it'll be interesting to see how all of that unfolds and how all of that shakes out. But I think it's if you're into like pitching, good pitching and defense, like, get out to Stony Hill Stadium, because more often than not, if you remember those 5-hour games from like 2021 or any of those kinds of times, those aren't happening. They're a lot cleaner. You would like to see them walk a few. Would like to see them clean up some of the walks, but it wasn't egregious compared to other teams and things like that. So I think there is still another level. And I guarantee you, with what I saw at the scrimmage that they had, if that's the right word for baseball, do they scrimmage?
Yeah.
Okay. So their scrimmage, the scouts will be outnumbered every time Xavier Cardenas pitches, because he had the first 2 innings and in that, and they were all there with their guns and doing everything. So I think there's star power. I think Weems, Montoya, I think those are guys that every single time they come up to bat, you're excited, because Weems is a and both of them, they're walking triples. These guys just can get triples like crazy, which I would argue is the funnest play in baseball. And then you got the star power on the pitching staff, and you got the depth going through guys who throw just absolute gas. And I think there's potential for just a lot of excitement. As the season is getting closer.
Yeah, I mean, if our listeners weren't as excited about Xavier Cardenas from what Coach Cole told us when he got hired, hearing Jonny and Omar talk about him as well definitely has to add that excitement as someone that could, be really electrifying, every once a week or whatever he comes on the mound. As we all remember Steven Strasburg and where he was and what he brought to San Diego every time he was on the mound. Like, even I think it was even before I kind of became entrenched in San Diego State sports, but like I knew that he was pitching that night, and I was like trying to get to a game. And I'm not saying that Xavier Cardenas is going to be Steven Strasburg, but he's got like that potential, right? And that could be something. Yeah, that could be something that could be something to look forward to, something that could be kind of get the San Diego community riled up. And I know Steven Strasburg, who knows about that whole retirement fiasco that happened with the Nationals? Is he retired? Is he not? He's not. But I know, Coach Cole mentioned he's been around the team, and he potentially could be, still talking to some of these guys and being around the team in, a non-formal capacity, obviously. But Cardenas, I think, has the tools, and he has potentially the coaching staff and the support to become a breakout guy this year.
No, I think it's right. But I think it'll be so interesting to see where he's slotted. Is he that Friday night guy, like Strasburg was, like Troy Melton was a couple of years ago? Is he more of that weekend guy who's a Saturday or Sunday pitcher? And then if that's the case, who is that? Because he's so young, you know what I mean? That it would be to go from where he's at to being that Friday starter, man. That would be a really, really big jump. Not that he's not, I don't know if he's capable of it, just saying it would be. But then who does become that Friday starter? Is that Chris Canada? Omar Serrano, like he talked about, he had some starts, does he fill in as that Sunday starter? So there's so much that it's always interesting to me because, we're sitting here, this will come out, right at the end of January, early February, and they don't know. The players don't know where they're slotting in yet, and the competition is still, and you're like, okay, well, it's 2 weeks away, but they're all still working. They're all still trying to figure out exactly where their spot is, and it'd be nice to talk to Coach Cole a little bit closer to first pitch, and maybe get some clarity.
Yeah, it was fun. It was a fun interview talking to these four. Hopefully our listeners enjoyed it as well. As Paul mentioned, we'll have Coach Cole on a future episode where we can get a little bit tidbits from Coach, from what he's seen heading into the season. As always, we appreciate you guys for listening. Make sure to like, subscribe, follow, share the podcast and the episode on all your favorite platforms, and we'll talk to you guys next time. You are listening to the SDSU Podcast presented by the East Village Times with your hosts Andre Hagberdian and Paul Garrison.